Welcome back to the Truck Show Podcast. I'm fresh off a week's vacation with the family, and I think I experienced a minor miracle this week. As you might be able to tell, my voice has started to come back, which is insane. You guys heard the last couple episodes. It's rough, right? Well, it really started almost overnight, and I woke up in the morning, and my voice was clear. The next morning, it was like 5% better, and then 5% better again, and with each successive morning, I would wake up to me sounding more and more normal. So hopefully it'll last for an entire show coming up. Fortunately, in this episode, I've got some baked content, so I won't have to talk too much, because as it is right now, I still, if I talk too much or if I push it, you can kind of hear it right now, it'll start to get a little gravelly, but we're moving in the right direction. So feeling pretty good so far, and I'm super excited to be able to hear bits and pieces of my old self again, and hopefully this gets us back to shows that are easier to listen to again for you guys. And if there's one thing that I know for sure, it's just how excited I am right now to be podcasting with my voice sounding almost normal again. I'm so pumped for this, and I think definitely going to motivate me to, want to get in here. It's been a struggle. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's one of the things that kept me from kind of getting back on it was I sounded so bad, and I hated the way I sounded. I hated the quality of product that I was delivering to you guys, and I feel like we can get back to getting this thing back on track. So on this episode of the Truck Show Podcast, I invited Shelby Hall and Brady Melin to join me in the pod shed. This interview was recorded way back on April 3rd. In fact, it was one of the last interviews I did before the accident, so please forgive me if some of the info isn't as timely as it would have been, but it's such an interesting behind-the-scenes interview that I've been really excited to bring to you guys, and I really wanted to do it justice. But it's really great, well-rounded, and we covered a lot of cool topics, from the origins of her racing career and her legendary grandpa, and where she's at with her own Shelby Hall off-road business, and just recreational wheeling. And we just covered a lot of stuff. It's a great listen to anyone who's a fan of, this show. So before we get into the show, of course, we have to thank some of our very important partners. The Truck Show Podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors. AMSOIL launched the industry's first synthetic motor oil back in 1972, and AMSOIL continues to innovate with a wide selection of synthetics that are formulated, blended, and packaged right here in the United States. These specialized lubricants are engineered for what you drive and how you drive. AMSOIL's Shop by Vehicle tool offers package size recommendations to maximize savings and includes AMSOIL's Ultimate Oil Change Kits. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Get yours today at AMSOIL.com. The perfect complement to your truck is a Kershaw knife. All Kershaw knives come with a limited lifetime warranty, and repair parts are readily available through the website. Kershaw knives include lifetime sharpening, and the lineup has everything from EDC knives that can be used and abused for under $50, all the way up to high-end collectibles. Thanks to our generous partnership with Kershaw Knives, Truck Show Podcast listeners can get 40% off MSRP and free shipping over $50 by using the code 2TSP2025. It can be used more than once and even includes automatics. Visit kershaw.kaiusa.com today. UAM Pistons is one of the few companies that's been in business for over 100 years. Founded in 1922, UEM continues on today, owned and run by the fourth generation of the family that founded them. We especially like the company's dual-alloy line of diesel pistons, which are cast and machined in-house to maintain the highest level of quality and consistency. Dual-alloy pistons are available for most popular diesel light and medium-duty trucks, and you can find your diesel replacement pistons today at uempistons.com. When it comes to amazing vehicle-based adventure content, how-tos, and great storytelling, only one brand is doing it right in the print magazine space, and that's OVR, Outdoor Vehicle Recreation. OVR is about getting out there in our vehicles to explore and discover the world around us. Get complimentary access for a year to the digital library or a discount on your print subscription today at OVRmag.com. Use the promotional code @TruckShowPodcast. The Truck Show Podcast survives off of sponsorships and your reviews. Please help me to keep it free by supporting our sponsors and leaving reviews and comments on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show.
The Truck Show with your host, Holman.
Man, what a difference a week makes. I had no idea that my voice would come back this fast over the course of a week. I'm literally blown away by this. I had a listener who's an ENT reach out, and he had been listening to my voice on the podcast and gave me some insights and whatnot. And one of the things he said is sometimes these things are sort of spontaneous on how they come back, and here we are. So I'm just happy to be able to talk to you guys and sound kind of like myself again. Anyway, sorry for the delay in bringing this one to you guys. I've got a little busy there for a while doing the whole healing part, but I sure hope you enjoyed, because I really enjoyed having these guys in studio. I think hearing from Shelby and Brady is totally worth the wait. But wait no more. Let's welcome in Shelby and Brady into our studio, affectionately known as the Pod Shed, where I immediately butcher Brady's last name. Well, guys, welcome to the Pod Shed.
What's up? Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this place is awesome.
You guys are now HB locals, at least Shelby is, right?
I am now a Southern California local.
Well, hold on. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so I've got Shelby Hall and Brady Melin here in the Pod Shed. And...
I got to correct it. It's Melin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Melin. I was thinking like the hat.
Yeah,
Everybody does.
They came second.
All right, Mr. Melin, you guys ready for your jingle?
We are ready.
Let's hear it.
Here we go.
Here we go. Truck famous, hero, star, VIP, ace, big weight, hot shot. Truck famous, big shot, big deal, big gun, big cheese, heavyweight, superstar. Truck famous. That's what you are.
So you're kind of truck famous. You've been Shelby's been blowing up lately, but I need to also correct the record. You are not related in any way to this woman.
Oh my God, excuse me. Unfortunately not.
So it was funny because the episode at the Mint, Teresa Contreras and I were doing a little thing, and she just comes up in the middle of the interview and just starts talking to us because she doesn't realize we have like the little mics on, we're talking, and she goes, "Oh my God, are you guys recording?" Right? And so Teresa and I are like, just started. So I put in the subject, it was like somebody's name and then what they are, and everybody had like the company they worked for, and Emmy was just being the worst. So she texted me the other day. She's like, "I just saw this." So she always tells me that I'm the worst person she knows, and I'm like, I don't think that's true.
You are the worst person I know.
I know.
Oh my God, you're the worst person I know.
So bad. So I rode with her recently on a Nissan Drive, and we were mic'd up. I have 40 more drops that I can pull out of it.
Perfect.
Which is super rad. So,
Yeah.
All right, if you listen to the Truck Show podcast, you know my affinity for the Hall family, Emmy and otherwise. And all the halls. But we'll focus on the racing family. So Shelby's got some really big news. You're here because there's some really cool stuff happening in your sphere.
Yeah, it's been a great year.
But before we get to that, I used to hang out with your grandpa, Rod Hall, the winningest man in the Baja 1000 history, and the only one to go to 50 consecutive Baja 1000s. Legend.
And the only one to win it overall in a four-wheel drive vehicle.
I mean, that is insanity. And I was talking to him one time, and he used to have the best stories. And the first time I met him was at a Hummer drive with when Hummer came with the militarized ones, right? Like the consumer version of the big ones. And then, of course, our relationship changed as Hummer and the Halls kind of worked together when the brand was there. And I'll never forget, he walked up and goes, "I'll give you $20 if you have less pinstriping on your driver's side than your passenger, or on your passenger side than your driver's side," right? Because he was like challenging, because everybody misses the bushes on their side, and those things were so wide.
For sure.
And then he would yell at everybody, "Don't overdrive your suspension." So we were talking one time, and he goes, I don't know, I think we were talking about like how suspension has evolved. He goes, "I remember back when leaf springs were in, and he had a CJ5. And he goes, "I had put a CJ, we had more leaf springs and blah, blah, blah." He goes, "My seatbelt nearly cut me in half just outside of Ensenada." So he unbuckled and raced the entire race in an oversprung CJ5 without a seatbelt.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And he would wake up every morning and do 100 push-ups.
He is amazing.
I mean, the guy was
amazing.
The guy was awesome. So a little nod to Rod Hall. He was definitely a character.
No doubt. He was a character. He was a man of few words. And so when he did say something, man, you wanted to hear what it was.
He was super efficient. And a lot of times he would wait until the right moment to tell you like how you screwed up. And then it would be, you would almost feel like, am I in trouble? Because he's walking away already.
Yes.
Like he said what he needed to. And you're like, oh man. Right?
Yeah, there was not a lot of talking about it. He just had to say what he had to say, and then he was off doing something else.
Yep.
And then you got to just think.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about.
You had to marinate for a little while. So then I was racing with Hummer for a little while back in the mid 2000s. So I raced with your dad, and I don't know if you ever heard the story of how I ended up with your dad, but
No.
there was a race before Baja. So it was I think it was the Terrible 250. And so they said, hey, if you're going to go to Baja with us, why don't you come out to the Terrible 250? You could ride with Josh Hall, because at the time everybody was going to ride with your grandpa. And I'm like, okay. So, I've been a magazine journalist for like 5 years at this point. I'd never been in a desert race. And I'm like, this is going to be awesome. So I get hooked up with your dad, and I'm hydrating, and Bob Bauer comes over, and Bob's like, Sean, don't trick your body, right? And you're like, yeah, no problem, Bob. And then Thad Stump comes over, and he's like, here, have you had breakfast? No, I don't eat breakfast. You have to have breakfast before you get in the truck. And I'm like, I'm not really, no, here, eat this Cliff Bar, which I hate. So Thad made me eat this Cliff Bar. Then your dad comes over, he's like, have you peed like 4 times before? He goes, you need to make sure you pee enough before you get in. And okay. So I'm taking all this stuff in, right? And at the time, they had just upgraded to a really big body Fox shock. And so there were thermal sensors on it because they didn't know how they would last, because the seals were kind of prototypes. And so your dad's like, you have to watch, as part of the co-dog front seat, you have to watch the thermal monitors, because if the shocks get to, I don't know, it was 400 degrees or something, they'll melt, and then we're screwed. And I'm like, all right, I won't let that happen. Well, in the Hummer, the H2, Thad was really tall, so the seat was mounted really low, and the cowl was really high on that vehicle. And then I'm buried in the screen making sure that we don't melt the shocks, right? And I can feel it coming up, and I'm like, oh man. And it's like 105 degrees out, and we're going, and I never realized your dad never loved nerfing anybody. He had a train horn. So the train horn was on the roll cage up by your right hand. So he'd be like, hit it. And then somebody would like, and I remember some guy after the race came up to him and goes, are you the guy in the yellow Hummer? And your dad's like, yeah, that was me. He goes, you scared the crap out of me with the train horns. But they would get out of your way. And in the races, you get 40 feet of center line. And he would pass people in the boulders and all this stuff. And it was wild. But then halfway through my ride, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh no, I swallowed it, I'm good.
Oh god.
And then I'm like, oh nope, I'm good. And I was good for a little while, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not good. And I think poor Sam was in after me, so I feel bad for him. But so I lifted up my helmet, and I didn't get it up fast enough, and blue chunks all over my beard, the helmet, all over the car. And so your dad pushed the radio button. He goes, oh, we're gonna come back to the pits, and we're gonna swap. And I look at him, I'm like, why? He goes, because you threw up. I go, I feel good now. And I went, oh, no, we're not. And so I hung with it. We ended up winning the race.
Hell yeah.
And your dad gave me the trophy.
That's awesome.
That he got. I still have it up in my office. And when we went to Baja, all 3 trucks were there. Your uncle, Chad, was driving the H1.
Yep.
And your dad was in the H2.
Yep.
And then your grandpa was in the blue H3.
Yep.
And the door panel was filled with names of co-drivers, right? Like completely filled. My name wasn't on it. And I'm like, they forgot my name. I was so bummed out. And then your dad gives the briefing and everything, right? And he says, one person here is going to notice his name's not on my dad's truck. And I'm like, it's me, And he's like, he's one of the toughest co-drivers that I've ever been with. He helped us win a race. He's in my truck for Baja.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was just me, Sam, and Thad in his truck.
That's awesome.
And so I did, the first year I did it with him was...
you earned it by blowing chunks,
I totally earned it, yeah.
That was the initiation right there.
Yeah.
And that race was the year, I think it was 05, 06, somewhere in there, where Pastrana crossed over and he rolled. And we passed his car, and like the tire was on fire and slowly rolling. And we didn't say anything. At the end of the race, I asked your dad, I'm like, "Did you see that?" He goes, "Yeah, I saw that." But we didn't even talk about it. And you get out and do the rabbits, and he had one of the only 4-wheel drive vehicles. So we're on like this big, deep, sandy hill, and we have 4-wheel drive. So we passed like 20 people just going up this hill, having 4-wheel drive and a V8 and all that stuff. And I remember, you're in the truck. And you start to kind of get in a rhythm. And even though you're doing like 70, 80 miles an hour over the harsh, you start kind of falling asleep, especially if it's at night.
For sure.
You're wearing pajamas, right? and you're like, no windshield, and like, oh, this is really nice. So I started kind of like nodding off, and so your dad, we were in the cactus gardens, went out in the cactus, blew a bunch of bulbs through the windshield, and they started sticking to my race suit, and then he was laughing when I was trying to pull him out. He's like, don't fall asleep. I was like, and we went through this.
Man, I'm picking up all these tricks.
Oh man, it was Make sure you make sure you use them on your co-driver.
Really terrorize my co-driver.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how I became kind of friends with the Hall family, and
that's rad. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You know Greg Fouts, right?
Of course.
Okay, so Fouts calls me one day, and Fouts goes, "Hey, Holman, you want to come race with me? We got a brand new Raptor." And I'm like, front seat or back seat? He goes, "Oh, I got a media seat." I go, "Nope, I'm not ballast. I've proven myself in Baja. We've won our class. If I'm racing, like I'm riding. I'm not going to be your ballast." And he's like, "Oh, come on. We have air conditioning and a windshield. We didn't even take out the carpet." I'm like, "How are you going to pee, right?" And he's like, "No, you're good." And so I told Fouts no. I'm like, "I'm not doing it." GM calls me. And GM's like, "Hey, Chad has a brand new ZR2 Colorado, and we'd like to see if you'd like to come out and cover the race." And I'm like, "Sweet, there's no way there's a rear seat in the Colorado."
No.
And so I get out there, and I look, and I'm like, oh, there's a rear seat. And it had an FIA cage, so it had the X cross brace.
Oh, yeah.
So you could only fit one leg forward, and your foot ended up where the shifter was, so your uncle's like shifting my boot like during it, and then the other leg's like this. It was the worst rear seat in the history of race trucks. And Fouts comes over and he goes, "Oh, really? You could have been in my rear seat." I'm like, "They tricked me. It was a trap." Like,
What race was that?
it was Vegas to Reno.
Oh.
And you guys know Vegas to Reno is rough.
Yeah.
And so being in the back seat, and then you feel like, I don't want to ride along. Like, I want to be calling out dangers, and I want to be like, "Hey, do you see that guy up there?" And hey, I want to get out and change a tire or hook up a toe strap, whatever we got to do.
Yeah, be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm too old.
How long were you back there?
Oh, it was probably, it was a few pits. I was probably 100+ miles, so probably
Enough.
a few hours. Oh yeah, it was enough where when I got out of it, I was like,
And that's a hot race too. It's probably stuffy back there.
Oh yeah, that was not my favorite race I've ever been in. So anyway, that's the photo that was up there of me standing next to the ZR2. It was me being tricked into the back seat.
Yeah.
So
well, man, you've had some experiences
I know.
with these halls.
I know, seriously. And then Jason Coleman was on recently, gave me a ride in his spec truck at the Mint, which
that was fun.
you're involved with.
That was yeah. That's been my program for the last 5 years.
And I didn't puke inside your car, so
No, that's good. The last 5 years of suspension tuning has been so you don't puke. So
well, I won't mention. I already told you off air, but I won't mention the other racers' names. But I can say that Jason's spec truck suspension tuning is right on.
thank you.
Premier.
Yeah.
It's been an effort.
So last time I see you driving around HB because I think I probably sent you a text or something like, "Hey, what's up, neighbor?" But I think the last time that I really had a chance to hang out for a few minutes was in Moab because you were working with Ford and you do a lot of like Ford ambassador stuff. And you were giving rides to people in the new Broncos at the time. And I was in the queue. And at that time, it was pre-dealership release. And Ford was basically in Moab giving whoever wanted to sign up rides. And it was before the media. So I hadn't driven it yet. So I had a chance to ride with you. And I think we put you on the show for that. And then I've just been watching you explode on social and like be everywhere. Like, so what have you been up to?
Oh man, where do I begin? Yeah, it's been a wild ride since 2019. 2019 is when I joined the Ford Performance Bronco R race team when we went down and raced Baja.
That was the year that on Prim's dry lake bed, right? That you drove out the truck to
Yes,
the media was set up.
Yeah. That was really like my first event with Ford. And even to take it back a little bit, earlier in 2019, Ford called up my grandma and Donna and Rod, and they said, "Hey, we're coming out with a new Bronco. We finally are ready to start sharing what it looks like, and we're really carrying over a lot of the heritage from that original Bronco style. And we want to come and show you. We want to come to Reno. We want to show you what it looks like." So they scheduled this very private meeting. It was just, I think, 3 people from Ford. It was Rod, my grandma Donna, my dad Josh, and myself. And they brought a virtual reality setup. And that was how we were able to see the Bronco for the very first time. which my grandfather was in a wheelchair at that point, and it was so moving for him to be able to stay in his wheelchair, put on that virtual reality setup, and feel like he was sitting in the driver's seat of the new Bronco. And they outfitted it with the livery of his 1969 overall winning Bronco. And
which again, it's hard to understate what an amazing accomplishment that. I mean,
no doubt.
So people who aren't into desert racing, that means he beat the motorcycles.
Correct.
Like that's huge.
Huge. Yeah, and I mean, that was done in 1969, and that's something that still hasn't been done to this day.
And that's in a day where we have, the maps are loaded on GPS, and you're able to pre-run more, and the communication's better. You've got Starlink on, all sorts of stuff. Back then, this was like a guy in his truck and probably a co-driver and
maybe goggles.
Yeah, and probably
maybe
because your grandpa because he always liked the low back bucket with the 3/4 helmet.
Yep.
And he refused to put on a full face helmet.
Yes.
And I remember there was a big discussion at, I don't know if it was one of the media or something, but they're like, why won't you wear a full face helmet? And he was like indignant about it. He's like, no, real race drivers have a low back bucket seat and an open face. Like he was like, this is how we race, and all the rest of you do what you want, but you're not old school like me.
Yeah, it's changed a little bit over the years, right? So anyway, I'm sitting in on this meeting. They come to Reno, they bring the virtual reality setup, and I was kind of a special guest. Ford didn't really know who I was. They didn't know that Rod had a granddaughter. And so after the meeting, I sent a follow-up email. It was really...
Were you racing at the time at all?
I was, yeah. So I started racing with Rod Hall Racing in 2011.
11, okay.
And so I raced with the family race team all the way up until 2018. Mm-hmm. And then in 2019, I became a hired driver and I started racing for other teams. So we're sitting in this meeting and everybody leaves, and it was really emotional for my family. My Rod had been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and it had been a pretty quick decline that he was now in a wheelchair. He needed 24/7 assistance. It was, it sucked.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, the last time I saw him was on the side of the race course, but he made it out there. He's like, I'm going to make it out here. And
hell yeah,
he
did.
And we probably talked for a good 45 minutes just sitting there watching race trucks go by. And to be honest with you, it's one of those little moments in my career that I cherish because of knowing your grandpa, racing with him, and being able to just sit and, I mean, amazing guy, one of a kind, and to have that moment where it's just me and him, and we just got a chance to chat was awesome.
And I mean, his perspective on everything changed so much. I mean, just to take it back a little bit, I mean, I always say that I really drew the lucky card in my relationship with my grandpa, because I got this older, wiser, not quite as focused on winning. And I got this really cool side of him that he just wanted to mentor me. He wanted to do cool shit and do it together. And him and I were two peas in a pod. He taught me what to do and what not to do.
Oh, he was very good at that.
He definitely was a troublemaker.
He was an amazing teacher.
He was.
But he also, if you were doing stuff with Rod, you had to know the other side, because he was going to get you.
For sure.
Because I think he liked lulling people into this like mentor-mentee thing, to where you're like, oh, yes. But the fun kind of like, I'm going to mess with you side,
totally.
He would sneak up from behind to get you. And you're like, wait. And then I think he liked keeping people on their toes about that,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely. He loved it. Even if it was like physically scaring you, he loved doing that. So anyways, so I get home from this meeting with the Ford team, and I send them an email, and I just share with them that how much this meant to my grandfather. And they responded back and said, well, it was so cool to meet you. We had no idea that Rod had a granddaughter. We had no idea that you race. We don't know how we can include you in what we're doing with this Bronco launch, but we want to see if there's something we can do.
Wow.
And I'm like, shoot, I'll carry bags. I don't care. Like, this is such a cool opportunity.
Yeah.
A couple months go by, and then I got an invitation to go back to Detroit and get a full tour of the archives. I got a tour of the whole building where vehicles are erected, from thought to to finish.
So were you in like the in Dearborn, like the rotunda?
Yes.
So I was part of I think I can say it now because it's been a while, but there was an industry expert panel that lasted 5 years, and they handpicked some dealerships, some racers, some journalists, some I won't say influencers, but kind of people in the space. And we would meet a couple times a year in Dearborn, and over 5 years, and they
Wow.
would walk us through the whole Bronco development.
Wow.
And it was amazing to have Ford reach out and say, "Hey, we want you to be a part of this." So I'm sure the things that you saw were kind of stuff that we had a chance to experience too. And
Definitely.
they didn't want to leave any stone unturned. They really wanted to get Bronco right.
And they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to admit they did. So it was kind of funny. It's just a little story of when I got there. So I kind of had no idea why I was being invited back to Dearborn. I had some like assumptions, but nobody was super clear on what this was. So we get there, and of course, we go to a beautiful dinner the night before.
They picked up in a car at the airport.
Very wine and dining.
Uh-huh.
And we get to the archives, and they start miking me up. And there's a camera following us around. And I'm like, is this an interview?
Yeah, what are we doing?
What are we recording for? And I was, I was so green then. I was so nervous. I was sweating, and I was wearing
the camera in your
nice
face.
clothes and
Microphone on, you're like,
and no idea why.
Yeah,
I
right.
was like, am I supposed to be acting a certain? I don't.
Yeah, how's
Anyways,
this
they
work?
just wanted to capture the moment.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, after I had gone to the basement where I got to see the development of Bronco R, and they shared, we're going to Baja, and it was just a few months away from November. I'm like, wow, there's
tight-
a lot to
tight
do
time for-
before you're going to Baja, but cool.
Baja next year? Or?
Yeah, which year Baja?
Yeah.
So we sit down. I call it, there's dream boards that people create where you just cut out pictures. And well, they have a dream room. And there's all these pictures and words of, who we are and who we aren't in this room. And so we're sitting in there, and that is when I got the official invitation. Would you like to come and be a driver for our Baja 1000 team?
I mean, come on.
And yeah, I was like, well, I'm sweating and I feel like I'm about to pass out. And
then you said,
and I said,
True! That's not true!
yes, it was very similar to that.
did you also say,
You're a lying sack of shit.
I did. That actually is me saying that to them.
is that you?
So they said, "Oh no, don't give us an answer right now. We understand this is something you probably need to think about."
And you're thinking in the back of
and
your
I'm like, "No, I don't. What am I have to think about? This is exactly what I want to do."
You're like, in your mind, it's like this. you just won the game show?
Yes, I did feel like I won.
I can't believe they told you that you could think about it.
I know. I mean, I don't know.
Now, where do I sign before you change your mind and
Yes,
realize
that
how
is
this
exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't let me make a commitment on site. So anyways, that was my initial relationship with them. And then we came to do SEMA,
Yep.
and that's where we did like the official media launch. And that was pretty cool. Cameron Steele was driving Bronco R, and I was driving my grandfather's 1968.
I remember that.
The winning Bronco.
Yep. Where does that, does that something the family owns today, or
I do.
You do?
Yep, that was
Awesome.
gifted to me by my grandfather.
Oh, man, that's so cool.
That thing is my baby.
Yeah.
I feel like a piece of him is with
Yeah.
me
Oh,
every time
totally.
I drive it. And I was so nervous. So I'd never given like a presentation. I had to get up after I drove the truck over, and everyone's watching you drive the truck. And then I had to get out, and nobody knew that it was me driving it.
Because
And
you were in a full suit, right?
Full suit,
Yeah.
full face helmet. Obviously nothing had been said about my involvement. And I remember just sitting there kind of hiding behind a big mound. Cameron and I were staged. And, I'm just kind of like losing my... I was pretty nervous of like, what am I going to say? There's all these journalists. Oh my gosh.
You said this.
THANKYOU. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, that's what I would have been doing.
Yeah, I actually think that's me singing.
Is it you?
At the media launch.
I thought I had a lot of Emmy Hall drops in here. Actually, I have a bunch of Shelby Hall drops in here.
Yeah, I mean, that moment I think I'll always remember. And I got
How
out
special.
and gave a little presentation. And that was, man, the beginning of the whirlwind So we went and raced in 2019, and we did not have a successful finish, unfortunately. But that's what happens when you have a new race truck.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
you gotta test it out.
I mean, new race truck. It's like finish the race.
For sure.
I mean, most of the time, your year one is like, let's just get it over the finish line.
Yes.
Because then we know that fundamentally the foundation's solid.
Right.
And we'll tweak and adjust, and then we'll go do better suspension from there, or whatever we need to do with tuning and things like that, and then it'll get that extra 5 or 10% it needs. But we gotta cargo pilots and fighter pilots, right? So
yes.
So I was once told that there's two types of drivers. And so when you have a team with like multi-drivers, the cargo pilots get it to the fighter pilots who then go past people and win, right?
Yes,
But
of course.
But you
Yes.
have to keep it together, right?
I like this analogy. I've never heard that
Yeah.
before. I like it.
So
That's a fun one.
yeah, because there's certain guys out there who we all know that they're only fighter pilots, and sometimes things don't really hang together too long.
So my Baja stories might be a little bit different than Brady's Baja stories those 2 years, but so 2019 wasn't super successful for the team. I felt it was hugely successful because I was just so stoked to be a part of the program.
How long did you drive for? Like, what was your run? Was it
200 miles, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, the first year we had a slew of drivers. There was like 7 or 8
Oh, wow.
drivers the
That's a lot.
first year. The second year it went down to like 4 drivers.
Meanwhile, I would ride with your dad, and he'd Ironman it, and it would be a peanut butter sandwich and coffee, and then you swap co-drivers and back off to the races.
He's an animal.
Oh, he is an animal.
He's an animal.
He's got his yellow tinted
Yep,
glasses on.
yep.
And I will tell you, one of the things I loved about racing with your dad is division of labor within the cockpit. Is like, this is what you do, this is what I do. There's no overlap.
Yeah.
And he is dead focused, and he's an absolute gamer, professional. There are very few people in life that I've ever seen as focused as when your dad is driving a race car.
No doubt.
It is unbelievable. Like, he is laser, and he's listening, he's taking things in. There's not a lot of chit chat. It's all business, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. He is a magician behind the wheel. It really was so much fun to learn from him. So after the 2019 Baja 1000, one thing that my grandpa had always told me is that when you're working with a manufacturer, it's your duty as the driver to make the vehicle look as good as possible. It's not about you being a good driver. It's about you successfully
Great advice.
piloting that vehicle to the finish.
Yeah.
Because then the manufacturer wants to keep using you.
That's right.
So when we didn't successfully finish the 1,000, I just kind of went to the drawing table and I thought, well, shoot, man, how often do I have Ford in front of me? Like, this could be my only opportunity. So I'm going to present them with an idea where I think putting the Bronco will be successful. And that was to compete in the Rebel Rally. The Rebel Rally was founded by Emily Miller.
Who is another mentee of your grandfather.
Correct, yes.
Emily is one of the coolest ladies in all of motorsports.
She's incredible.
And
She's a mentor of mine.
her and I have had great conversations back racing in Baja on the side of the race course, and your grandpa loved her.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely, like a daughter.
Definitely.
And so it's great to see her and then see the successful Rebel Rally.
Huge.
All of my lady friends in the industry, we'll bring them on from time to time and support them in the Rebel Rally. And I just think it's such a unique and amazing event. I'm so glad
It
Emily's
is.
kept it going.
Me too.
And this is the 10th anniversary this year.
This year's the 10th.
Are you going to be in it?
Of course.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
In a Bronco?
Yes, of course. So I presented the idea for us to go to Rebel. Let's put a stock truck where a stock truck should be, and it can shine. And Ford picked it up. They said, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's put in 3 trucks. And because of the rules of the rally, we actually had to first compete with Bronco Sports because the full-size Bronco wasn't going to be out to the public in time. So we went with 3 Bronco Sports, and we competed in the crossover class, and we went and won. And so actually, I do get to claim that I brought home the very first gold medal for the new gen Bronco. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We also have a crowd here who are listening right now to the podcast.
They are,
Yeah.
yes.
There's a guy in the back. He starts hooting and hollering in a second here.
Yeah,
Yeah, there he is,
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that's enough.
Oh, the applause feels great. Haven't thought about that memory for a while. So that was kind of, and going in and bringing home the gold was really good. It was good for us. It was great for the relationship with Ford. And, it kind of put Broncos sport like on the table. And we've just been competing in the rally ever since. And it's been really rad. I've kind of gone through a few different arms of Ford throughout the years. I started as a Bronco brand ambassador and then moved over to Ford Performance so that we could really move the Rebel Rally to performance where it should be.
Right. I think that's the right partnership. I think you got in with the people that opened the door, but you got to the right room within the house, right?
Yeah,
and that's
for sure.
Kind of where you're at now.
Yeah. And so over the years, I moved down to Southern California, and I kind of quickly found that there wasn't, which this sounds crazy because we're like in the hub of off-road here, but I wasn't finding a crowd to hang out with that wanted to go wheeling. I had met people who had Broncos and had off-road trucks, but they were going to parking lot parties. And I was like,
nope.
I don't want to do that.
Your HB neighbor over here, I could show you a lot of great places.
I didn't know you lived here yet. And so, I started growing just a friend group down here, and it was the parking lot party people. But I knew that they wanted to go wheeling. I think they just didn't know how or where or how to like round the troops. And so I was like, I'm going to start doing that. Let's just start putting rides together and start teaching people how to use their Broncos.
So that bookshelf that's behind Brady right there, it's got a bunch of my OVR magazines. But if you look, there's a bunch of historical books on the deserts of California and the Mojave Road and all that. So currently, I got voluntold, but I'm the president of the Mojave Desert Heritage and Cultural Association. So we oversee the East Mojave Heritage Trail and the Mojave Road. And so I'm out there all the time and do a bunch with the BLM and do some volunteer work and scout trail. So anytime you want to go, like let's do it.
I would love that.
We can make it a multi-day. I can show you. I've got some great day trips that would blow your mind. And there's so much great stuff out here. Like one of the last classical gunfights in the Old West happened in the Southern California desert. The first African-American homesteaders in Landfair Valley. You've got mining, you've got agriculture, you've got the missions from the Spaniards coming across the Mojave Road, the trading of the Gabrielinos and other Indians on the Pacific coast with the Mojaves and the Chemehuevas over on the Colorado Riverside. There's all these old forts and sites.
That's rad.
Let's
all right,
go.
we got to do it.
Let's
do this.
Yeah.
That sounds so fun. So that was really just like how Shelby Hall Off-Road started developing, was just putting some trail rides together and getting people in their Broncos out into the wild.
Awesome.
And obviously as a female, I love to be a proponent of getting more women behind the wheel. So often they love to go off-roading, but they get stuck in the passenger seat and they get stuck there, because then they sort of lose the confidence because they don't think that they know what to do when they get in the driver's seat. So, I want to shift that mindset. And quite frankly, the only way you're going to learn how to do it is by getting in the seat. And you're probably going to screw it up, and who cares?
Yeah, it's. I have a lot of friends who are. Well, I had a friend who worked for OE, and she got promoted in the PR side to the truck side, and she called me up and she said, "Hey, would you be willing to take me out for the day? Because I don't know the trucks. If I brought one of our trucks out, and you could show me how four-wheel drive and all that works, because I got this promotion from the car side, and I was at this event, and I realized I didn't know enough about the product. So we spent the whole day talking about four-low and lockers and how to do it. So I spent the morning with her, and we walked around the vehicle, and then I drove her, and then I was in the passenger seat, and she drove, and then I followed her in my vehicle. And we did the same loops and all that. And by the end of the day, rock star.
Yep.
Absolute rock star. And so I've had a few clients who have asked, like, hey, can you take me out? And I love doing that. And I coach girls 6U softball for like the same reason, the littles. I love that confidence that it's you see when they learn that skill set and they're like, oh, because a lot of the girls start at pony ball, which is boys and girls.
Okay.
And then they get to about 5 and they can do softball. And so they're like, the boys start kind of separating and you're like, no, you guys can do this. And there's very few things in life that are better than teaching somebody a skill and watching them be excited that they can go either teach somebody else or go utilize it.
Yep.
I love that stuff.
Yep, no doubt.
Love it.
Yep. So So with Shelby Hall Off-Road, we host off-road workshops. So we teach people off-road navigation, which, of course, that's
Rebel.
what we do with Rebel.
Yep.
Which is really cool. We have people come that are rebels or, want to be. But we also have men who obviously can never compete in the Rebel. They're just like, this is badass. I want to know how to read a map and be able to get from point A to point B without my GPS. And it's so much fun. So, of course, I also teach off-road driving skills and my competition journey, which has expanded this year.
Yeah. So what the heck? Because I saw the initial, I guess, the press release on it, and I'm like, huh. And then I've been following you guys on social as you've taken the new rig and blown it apart into a million pieces while you build it back up. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I'll let Brady talk about the rig. I mean, he's the one who really is digging in there and getting it dialed for us. I get to just drive the thing.
She loves it. No, it's cool. It's one of the Bronco DRs. We have a friend out in Colorado that had one. We actually got approached by another shop to kind of spearhead a NORA effort. They're not really on the racing side, and they know that we are. So when we pitched this idea, or not pitched it, but just told this guy about it, our friend in Colorado, he was like, well, why don't we race ours? And so Shelby and I were like, well, why don't we? You know?
We were like, well, we don't have one. So that's why we were just going to go manage a team.
Don't threaten me with a good time, but I also need a horse.
Yeah. So, I mean, long story short, all of a sudden, a Bronco DR and a brand new chase truck and everything shows up. And so we just jump in head first. We've gone out testing a couple times. It's not quite as race ready as they want you to believe it to be, but
no, they definitely need to be dialed. I have a few friends who race the DR, and everybody loves it when they get it to where it needs to be, but it takes a little bit. I mean, it's a great foundation. Multimatic does a great job of building those things up, but they need a little love.
So that's where the blowing it apart to put it back together comes into play, and that's where we are right now. We have the thing completely apart. Just going over every facet of the vehicle, every function and all that stuff.
Do you guys have a shop here in Orange County?
We do. It's here in Huntington.
Oh, nice.
I mean, we 5 minutes away.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
So yeah, we're getting Shelby fitted in there.
That's been one of the things that's like most exciting for me. You know, over the years, I've always raced somebody else's vehicles. Yeah. I mean, we did introduce a UTV last race season, which was really the first time I was able to fit really good in the car. But, I mean, you think about it, and like all these years, I have, I don't know, a ton of Baja 1000 miles under my belt. I have, Baja 1000 wins, never actually fitting in a racetrack. I have a slew of inserts and custom made,
you got the wedges
pillows.
And
yeah. I mean, I wear platform. No, I'm just kidding. But,
phone books.
Yeah, phone
and
books.
they're getting really hard to find now.
They're really expensive.
Now you got to just stack iPads.
That gets expensive quick.
Yeah.
No wonder those DRs are so pricey.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, we're getting her all fit in there because fitting is confidence.
How are you going to get in? Because I was in the one in Saudi Arabia that Brad was driving for Ford Performance to give like hot laps to the media. And like getting in, Arciero or Coleman's spec or trophy truck, no problem. Like I feel like I can get in, I plop right down, I can find the seatbelts. I got in the DR and I felt like I had a helmet 4 times the size of the opening to get in there. So if you're being fit and you're closer to the steering wheel, like, I mean, the amount of gymnastics to get into one of those things.
It's interesting. The DR seems like it. So getting in, yes, it feels like it's built for a tiny person. But then once you're in there, it's fit for a giant.
It's fine. I feel like it's fairly roomy. It's just like the ingress and egress through the window openings is really tight.
So that's where
really gracefully.
That's where my tininess comes into play. So for everyone listening, for reference, I'm 5'2" and 120 pounds. And so getting in and out of race vehicles is where I shine.
So you're the driver swap that puts you in the middle of the race, and that way we save some time. For me, I'm like 5'9", 5'10", 210, 215, and with a helmet and a race
shoving going on.
Yeah, I mean I'm like, put more mayonnaise on, dude. Like I want to go racing. I want to go get experience.
So the getting the seat set up is really, the most important thing. And so we're debuting this Bronco DR at NORA, which is, pretty close to heart for us. which we can touch on later. But Brady and I will both be driving and navigating. So the days that Brady's driving, I'll be navigating. Sorry, babe. And vice versa. I'm just getting my lefts and rights get mixed up. And, I'm always watching the road.
Passenger and driver. That way it's just easier. Let's talk about the livery.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was cool that you were doing it. But the throwback livery to me was like the best part of it. You took this brand new, modern race truck, and then you did something that was really special. Not everybody's going to get it.
Right.
Because people who don't understand the history of that livery go, that's ugly. Why would you do that? But when you realize what it is, you're like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's super special.
Yeah.
So it's two-part. The first part of it is our partner, Liberty Firearms Institute, and Wayne Schmeckley has the world's largest Strop Bronco collection. And that's really where our...
I was out in Vegas at Steve Olgis's shop, and Steve's got a couple of Strops, and it was like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Growing up, loving early Bronco, the one I wanted was a Strop.
Of course.
And I probably could have bought 10 of them.
Yes.
And now there's no way I'll ever own one, right? Like, they just passed me. But the Strop logo that was on is my favorite. It's like the best like T-shirt logo ever that's on the side of it, right?
Yep. So, and the thing with our group and our team, obviously, is how much the history means to us and the importance of sharing the historical value with the people today. Because like you said, so many people aren't aware of our roots and the heritage of off-road racing. It's really not that old. It's whatever, the first year was 1967 of the Baja 1000. And man, that history needs to be preserved. So the historical value to us in this is kind of twofold in the fact that, like I said earlier, my grandfather set the record of being the only person to win the Baja 1000 overall in a four-wheel drive vehicle, and it was in a Strop-built Bronco. And the other part of it is my grandfather and I restored that Bronco, that 1969 overall winning Bronco. We raced it at NORA in 2015 and 2016. And that was the last truck my grandpa ever raced. Yeah. And, that's huge for us. And so now we get to go back and debut our Bronco with the Strop livery. Yep. And it's where I get to race my first race truck, and
that's
it's full circle.
Freaking awesome. And if you're listening and you don't know Strop, Bill Strop was a guy here in Southern California. And the Strop Bronco had this crazy livery of grabber orange or whatever Ford called it. Blue, white, I think flat black hood on them. Yep. And you could get all sorts of options. You could get like mag wheels and dual shocks and all that. And it was basically, think of him as like maybe a modern or a old school like AEV, right? He was an aftermarket upfitter, but he was tied extremely close with Ford. And so it was OE quality. And they were basically these Broncos that were made for desert running. And so this year, Ford released the Strop Bronco Edition. Yep. And it's got the cool livery on it. And it's I saw it at the LA Auto Show, and I'm like, that's so cool. Yeah. And people are like, ew, it's ugly. I was listening to people. I'm like, no, you need to understand the history.
Really? That was the feedback?
Yeah, this is the coolest thing on the show floor. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And then I would walk people through the history of it. And they would be like, oh, that's so cool. And I just... It's such a unique livery, and when seeing it on the race truck and everything, it's just like, yeah.
It's rad. It's special to us, and we just, we want to be able to tell this story and share the story of the come up, you know, of where the halls started and where we're going, and it all started with that Strop Bronco.
Well, it's crazy now because I was at King of the Hammers, I was at the Mint. And the Hall side of the family, the team, is like exploding. And Chad just raced the EV Silverado, and your dad's back racing again. And
that needs.
Yeah.
That's where my dad is made to be.
I know.
And,
he belongs there.
He took a little hiatus there, and I'm so glad he's back.
Yeah. And I saw, and he's healthy right now. I would just
He is
stoked.
Cancer survivor.
Yeah. So, I mean, and he if anybody's a survivor, your dad's a survivor. So I was so happy to see him back racing. I was so happy to see him healthy. And they're doing all, and then meanwhile, Shelby Hall Racing off-road, you guys are you've got your own thing. And it's, I kind of wonder, having the old Bronco, the 69 that won overall, and having raced it and been with her grandpa and put it back together. Obviously, there's a part of him, as you said, that's in that. But do you think in terms of racing today that it's a little bit humbling because you can kind of have that direct connection to your roots? It's really easy to get in a modern race vehicle with all the gadgets and all the things. And do you feel like having that grounds you?
No doubt. Oh, yeah. And even just the amount of time that we spend deep in the history, because, part of me always wants to be telling my grandpa's story. I am honored to share his story. I'm honored that I was there for all those years. And those dudes were so much tougher than
way
us.
Tougher.
We are pansies today
100%.
compared to them. And which I always think is funny to use the word pansy because pansies are really tough, actually. But, he was just a tough cookie. And, I got to learn a lot of cool lessons from him that all of them don't necessarily apply to trucks today because trucks are so much more powerful. They have so much more suspension.
All the things.
Air
conditioning on a lot of them. Or heat. I mean, even like when I went to Dakar and, we were there embedded with Ford Performance at the bivouac. I never say that right. And
that was right.
Thank you. That was the first time ever. And I'm with Mitch Guthrie Jr. and we're looking at the car, and the inside of that thing looks like a spaceship. They have AC, they have a heater, they have a windshield, they've got buttons everywhere, and then you look at something from the '60s that was like, hey, this is stock. There's a better roll cage. There might be some bigger bodied shocks on it, and there's some different paint, and the seat belts are different or something, right?
Totally. Yep.
Maybe a hotter cam and the intake on the V8's, higher. Flow or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was it. And you're solid axle front and rear.
So, I mean, in the old Bronco, we have window screens that are, 6 inches tall. And, those things move up and down, and that's how you direct the wind on your face. And that's like the fanciest thing on that truck.
That thing is so cool. And, man, I look at it and I feel like you're your grandpa's ambassador. Like you've kind of like parachuted into this spot where it's you. It's your story. And it's your journey to tell his story.
It is. I feel for my dad and my uncle that raced alongside him. And that had to have been really challenging because Rod was still so immersed in the racing side of things. It was the business. And I got to have this side where he had, retired and he wanted to see me succeed. And I don't mind being his ambassador. I owe it to him. And what he's done for the sport and what he's done for me personally is incredible. I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you. I wouldn't be debuting my new race truck in a couple weeks. And I'm honored. I'm honored to continue to tell his story. I don't want that story to fizzle out.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel fortunate enough to have been embedded with him, and he had his 70th birthday in Mexico after the race. I was there for that.
His 80th.
Oh, 80th. That's right. Sorry, 80th birthday. And I just feel, so lucky that in my career, I had the opportunity to meet him and have at least a little bit of a relationship with him and sit on the side of the race course and listen to him just, spin some old yarns and stuff like that. And I can't say enough about him. Like, I get the tough side of him and the competitor side of him. Of course. But he was just a cool guy.
He was.
And like I said, I feel so lucky that I had a chance to get to know him a little bit and to see all of you guys. I will always have, the Hall family will always be my favorite racing family. Like, the Hall family gave me my first opportunity to get in a race truck. I think I won with your dad. I think we won our class 2 times where I co-dogged for him. So, like, I'll take that.
Hell yeah.
It's funny, my buddy Shane Casada at Bilstein, there used to be a secretary or a receptionist there who was, like, really rude, and she used to, like, run interference for everybody. And after 2005, when we won our class, I would call him up, and she'd be like, he's on the phone right now. She's like, who's calling? I'm like, tell him the Baja champion called. And, like, she was know it was me and get so annoyed and stuff like that. But no, I will always have an affinity for you guys. You guys are such a great family. You have all your family stuff like every family has,
of course.
but you're all amazing people, and I guess got to get into a truck with you because I've been with your dad and your uncle. I need to just like collect all the hauls along the way here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll have to make that happen. I mean, we definitely don't have time before Nora. We are, we're getting that trip dialed for Nora. But we'll see how things unfold. What's next for us after Nora?
I mean, I will do more sit-ups and get back in my old race suit.
All right, it's a deal.
So what's next? I mean, obviously, you guys have the truck. Are you looking for Rebels later this year again? Yeah. But is there anything else in between now and then, or is it all going to be the DR and the race team?
Yeah. So with the business with Shelby Hall Off Road, I am still hosting events. So coming up, so April is actually Parkinson's Awareness Month, and last year I partnered with Drive Toward a Cure, which is a nonprofit organization that raises funds and awareness for families that are affected with Parkinson's. And the cool thing that really resonated with me is that Drive Toward a Cure primarily raises their funds through drives. And those drives are typically sports cars. And so last year I decided I was going to host a drive, but of course it was going to be dirt. And I called it the Rod Hall Tribute Trail Ride. And we had such an incredible time. We based out of /X, and we went to Pioneer Town. And
Pappy and
Harriet's. And everyone that came to that event, we had 30 vehicles there, had a story of how they knew my grandpa, whether it was handing them a water bottle during a race or being part of his pit crew. And it was just so overwhelmingly warm with love and caring. And so this year we decided to do it again. So April 12th, I'm hosting another Rod Hall Tribute Trail Ride, except this year it'll be out of Vegas. And we will be doing a half-day trail ride, and then we're throwing the after party at Steve Olagis's Bronco Barn.
I love Steve. He's such a good guy. I'm trying to bring up on the screen right here on the Truck Show podcast website. If you go to the events calendar, you will see the Rod Hall Tribute Run is listed.
Awesome.
So it's on our events page. So we do that as a service to truck and off-road enthusiasts. So back in the day in the magazine, we used to have the calendar of events in the back, and everybody would grab their magazine. There's no place that has all of these events anymore.
Yeah.
And so we decided that we would make it on the website, and so that's what we do.
Yeah, so this year's going to be really cool. Last year we had the overall winning Bronco on display next to my two-door Bronco, which has a livery that is based off of my grandfather's. But this year we're changing things up. We're going to have our Bronco DR on display, as well as Rod's vintage Dodge race truck, and a Rod Hall Edition Dodge that has 900 miles on it.
That's cool. His old Dodge, I mean, he won a lot in that Dodge race truck,
dude,
too.
Those were his years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't believe Dodge hasn't, revived some Rod Hall thing, because that was where his glory years were.
I think when the TRX came out, they may have brought a truck out and kind of, did a touch point desert racer, kind of thing. But not in the way that they could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, he is such a part of that history.
Totally.
And at that time, the Dodge trucks were not the best trucks out there, and he took an OE relationship and he elevated it in a way nobody else was going to be able to do it. And I'm sure, I imagine that there were Dodge executives in the board meeting on Monday going, holy crap, we won that one. Hey, Bob, good
keep
job.
This guy around.
Yeah, exactly. So
well, they kept him around for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have those trucks on display, because we haven't showcased those. Of course, with my affiliation, it's been pretty Ford heavy.
Sure.
And now we get to spread our wings a little bit and really showcase some more of the history.
I mean, I don't think any manufacturer is going to knock you for, the reason they want you is your legacy, right? They're not going to let you tell your story, right? So, but yeah, the racing corporate world's always
interesting.
Fun one. Yeah, interesting.
It's a fickle beast.
Yes.
It's a fickle beast.
Yes, very fickle beast.
So yeah, I am hosting that in 2 weeks, and then we leave for Nora, and Nora is extra long now. It's 6 days of racing, so we'll be gone, I don't know, about 2 weeks for that. And then we're going to take a short break because we have had an insane, no doubt. So we kind of made this decision to jump all in with expanding the race team. Brady came on board with Shelby Hall Off Road, and we opened up our new shop maybe 2 months ago.
If that, I mean, it's April now? Yeah.
Can I come by
Mid-February.
bring you a Dr. Pepper and cream soda, like housewarming gift?
I would
shop warming
love
gift?
that. I would love that.
Yes,
All right,
please do. So it's so rad to walk into it. I mean, we've got several chase trucks now. We just gotta.
Do you walk in and go like, "Holy crap, this is mine"? Like,
Yes.
how did I do this?
Yes.
Or-
Okay, I'll tell you. So just having my logo, which is Shelby Hall Off Road, on the front door, I about lose shit every day. That's my name on a door.
You kind of, I'm sure it's probably a little bit bittersweet because you love for your grandpa to have been here to see it.
Yes.
But I think, obviously he's a huge part of this and his DNA is all over that place.
Oh, yeah.
One of the last things that him and I talked about, he was in hospice care at home, which was great that he got to just stay home. Yeah. And he wore his BFG shirt almost every single day. And so we were just hanging out, chatting, and well, I said, Shelby, how are we going to get you your own racetrack? And I said, Papa, oh my God, of all things, please don't let that be one of the last worries of yours. I probably will figure it out. Maybe. We'll see. Uh-huh. And here we are now, 5 years later. And
awesome.
I mean, I'm grateful for the people around us. I have not done this by myself. I have an incredible team. Brady has been such a huge supporter, and my personal fleet of vehicles keeps growing, and I am not a mechanic. That's something that I didn't really learn. I'm kind of slowly learning that side of it. So Brady gets to maintain all the vehicles these days. And now the fleet has extra grown now with the race team.
That sounds like a good partnership to me. You drive, he works.
I'm the sales girl. I do manage all the marketing.
That is hard.
It's a lot.
I'll tell you, from even like the podcast and dealing, it's like there is no time, because some contracts might be a year, some might be 2 years, some might be 3 months,
Yes.
all the deliverables are different, and you got to go beat down the doors to try and keep the whole thing going. And it's I commend you, because
it is a full-time job.
I was in the corporate world in journalism for 20 plus years, and then when I left and started all this and took this all on my own, my adventure company, this, and then starting OVR magazine with our friends, some of my colleagues from Motor Trend. I mean, it is not for the faint of heart. And you won't be able to see this because it's an audio podcast, but normally people say, what do you think? Should I start my own business? And I shake my head no. I said, yes, you should totally do that. There is so much nobody tells you.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. I didn't know exactly what I was doing when I decided to start Shelby Hall Off Road. And quite frankly, I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to call the business. My Instagram handle is Shelby Hall Off Road, so I guess I'll just run with that.
There you go.
And I had no idea where I was going, really. I mean, I had an idea, but I didn't have this kind of like big overarching goal that I was reaching for. And wow, it is so much more than what I was expecting. I'm a one-woman army. I'm the administrative assistant. I'm the creative director. I'm the
here.
billing person.
That's it. This whole thing is just, and
then I get to drive race trucks every once in a while.
Well, that's cool. That's like I get somebody drops off.
That's like the perk.
We have this funny jingle that I made because I always get like random cars dropped off here, right?
Of course, yeah.
And so people are like, "Oh, you're so lucky to have that." So we did a funny jingle like, "How do they get there? Nobody knows," that kind of thing. But you're right. It's like we do it all because of those that little taste of the carrot every time.
It is.
And the thing is, the larger you grow it, the more work it is.
Yeah.
But you want to grow it, but then it gets to be more work. But then you want.
Yeah.
And
and you have to remember, nobody cares about as much as you do.
No.
So you can hire the best people,
Yeah.
but they're still not going to be you, right? Like that's hard.
It's really a success snowball.
Yeah.
You
I
just
love
keep
that.
rolling it. And it gets heavier to carry, but it's so much more
If
rewarding.
Shelby Hall Off Road doesn't sell T-shirts that have the success snowball on it, I am going to steal that from you.
Okay, we need to write that down. Brady is a marketing genius too. He's incredible. I feel so lucky to be able to work together with him on so many different levels. And our team has grown. I met people along the way that. Everybody says they want to help. Everybody says they want to be a part of it. But then when it's time to do the business, do the work,
Where are
not
they?
so many people show up.
They want the glory part of it.
Yeah.
But this business, there's no glory without a lot of sweat.
Correct. Yeah. It's a life commitment.
Yeah.
But we have found those people who do care as much as we do and want to be a part of where this is going, and they end up being our best friends. And so now there's 3 couples, so there's 6 of us, and everyone is really good at what they do. We have a videographer, a photographer, we have a creative artist, we have a guy who's kind of jack of all trades. Brady's a master mechanic, and I don't know what I am, but
the ringleader.
But together we get to sit around a table and be like, what crazy idea do we have, and how are we going to make it happen?
And you guys, because it's your own thing, right? Nobody's telling you no. Number one,
right?
And since you're kind of new to running your own thing, you don't know what you don't know
the
yet.
Sky is the limit.
Now's the best time. This is the best time you'll ever have, because you're probably like, I don't know, let's try it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You haven't gotten to the point where you're risk adverse yet, or at least not terribly so.
I mean, I'm the biggest risk adverse person probably in our group. We're the second most risk adverse person, but we all complement each other really well, and it's
Shelby
a cool
and I are
team.
pretty yin and yang.
Yeah.
She's risk adverse, and I'm on the craps table until 2 a.m.
No
Nice,
doubt. No
nice.
doubt.
Well, I'm glad you guys are my neighbors. You guys should come back to the pod shed. I
love
want to hear
to.
about your racing. You're welcome anytime here. And I'd like to come by and see the shop. And
Yeah, we should definitely come back after the race, because this race is going to be interesting. We're the first privateer team to debut the Bronco DR, so we don't really have,
that's interesting.
We don't have the same hand-holding relationship as a Ford
support,
team would
right,
have with a Ford truck. And for a lot of the folks going down, it's their first time to Baja, and which is so cool that we get to share that. My mom is on the crew.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's gonna have so much fun. And this is the first time that Brady and I are really, we have a UTV that we sprinkle races in when we can. But this is kind of our first like big deal together.
Yeah, it's our first full-time gig, if you would.
Good for you guys.
So it's just gonna be an experience. Our goal.
You're living your best lives right now.
We're living our best lives, and like we just want to go down and have a bitchin' time. We want to finish every day, and then we come back to the drawing board once we get back and figure out what the next plan is. So now we're just kind of like enjoying this moment to get to Nora.
Well, if there's anything the Truck Show Podcast or OVR Magazine or me can ever do for you guys, or if you need to borrow some milk and eggs or some sugar or something like that as your neighbor, or a cold Dr. Pepper, as we're making here, they're always frosty back here. So please keep me in the loop. Anything I can help you guys with. But thanks you so much for coming in. And I love the Hall family, and it's so fun to talk about your grandpa and just what a great guy. And I can see his spirit in you, and I love it. You guys go have fun at Nora. Go kick some ass, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
So how about that? That was a pretty great interview, right? And in case you were wondering, Shelby and crew did make it to the finish line in Cabo for Nora, but I don't want to spoil the story for you. So head over to YouTube, and on Shelby Hall's YouTube channel at Shelby Hall Off-Road, they did a great 4-part series that is certainly deserving of a watch. So if you found this interview interesting, you'll really like the 4-part YouTube series. All right, so before my voice regresses too far back, I think we're going to call it for this episode of the Truck Show Podcast. But don't forget to follow us on social at Truck Show Podcast, at Sean P. Holman, or come be part of the show on the 5-star hotline 657-205-6105.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show.
And don't forget to give us your feedback. We want to hear from you, whether it's a question, a comment, advice, anything like that. What are you buying? Do you like the new trucks? Do you hate them? Whatever. Send us an email, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, if you're on Facebook, join the Facebook group, the Podshed Insiders, where we have a lot of fun discussions in there, but we also, that's the first place I post when something's happening and kind of let that group know before everybody else. Also, don't forget to send in events, know your notes. And this show would not be possible without our amazing sponsors, especially with companies like AMSOIL. If you love your vehicle and you want the best synthetics, lubrication, car care products, there's none other than AMSOIL if you're looking for the best stuff for your vehicle. Oil change kits, you can buy them online. They make it super easy for you. Also, Kershaw Knives, there's a new discount code, 2TSP2025. So if you want to get yourself a new knife, 40% off MSRP and free shipping. I think it's over $50. So don't forget to go to kershaw.kaiusa.com. That's KAIUSA.com. And UEMpistons.com. We really love their dual-oil diesel pistons, but they've got pistons for all sorts of things. So if you're doing a rebuild on your engine, go ahead and check out uampistons.com. And finally, ovrmag.com. If you love old school magazines, something that's quality, heavy, adventure, gear, there's no other magazine out there that's as good as OVR Magazine. Get yourself a discount at ovrmag.com. Thanks for listening, especially if you stuck with it through the bad voice episodes. And I can't wait to do it again soon with you with this new improving voice and hopefully my normal old voice sooner than later. Until next time.
Yeah, buddy. The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.
Oh my God, excuse me.